Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together we are TwinFinity. Just a couple of quick announcements before we get going, and that's all just to do with this video. First of all, we have two pieces of technology we're using today, so I might be leaning over to read one when it comes time to read some questions. And the second
before you go to the second one, let me just explain. I normally print out our whole questions for the next thing, and I am positive that I printed out the next set of questions. But we've done a lot of adulting in the last month, like a lot of tax stuff and again
insurance stuff and car stuff and registration and stuff.
So we've had a lot of papers go, and I think it's mixed in with something else, and I'll probably find them as soon as we're done this video. So for now, I have the questions on the Word document on a computer. So Rob's going to read two questions from a piece of paper, and then we're going to move on to a computer. So it could be interesting. Hopefully, cross your fingers, it all works nice and smooth.
Okay. And the second one is I had just a little bit of a weird accident a couple of days ago. I was at my favorite golf store, and I was looking at golf clubs, and when I wasn't really paying attention to where I was, a golf club slipped off of one of the racks and fell down in front of me. Now, I tried to catch it and grab it as it was falling, but I ended up pinning the head of the club between my hand and my leg. And the golf club then pivoted, sprung forward, much like when you step on a rake in your backyard. It sprung up and smacked me right in the lips. Bang! And at the same time, I caught my tongue, and the underside of my tongue got cut by my bottom teeth. So if I'm talking away and seeming to have a little bit of trouble, I don't think I will, but if I struggle a little bit, it's just because my tongue is sore.
Yes. I'm sure you'll do fine.
I certainly hope I'll do fine.
Yes.
And speaking of which, getting bashed in the lips, I didn't get bashed in the lips by these, but Angie has a lip shirt on today.
I just felt guided to wear my lip jewelry and my lip shirt, and I didn't know Rob was going to tell his little story, so I don't know if it's for that reason or if somebody needed a sign and needed to see lips, but if you did, here you go.
There's lips, and there's lips earrings. Lips earrings too.
Yes. Little lips.
So anyway, was there anything else?
Yes, we didn't actually talk about this, but I was gonna tell, for the person that had requested that we do like a video of just what we do in our normal day lives, and last question answer we said we'd like to do that, but that'd just be really hard to do because we'd have to carry a camera around with us all the time because we just spontaneously do weird things. So yes. I was going to, or we had talked about maybe we'll just, every Q&A video, we'll just share a little crazy, weird, dumb thing that we do. Last Q&A, if you didn't see it, last Q&A's video, we shared that we zap each other. We'll,
yes.
Like slide off
static
the bed,
electricity. Zap,
yeah.
Zap, zap.
Or slide across the carpet and then zap each other. So being that I'm wearing lips, I thought I would tell the story of what the other one that we do that kind of coincides with lips.
Okay.
Do you know which one that is? It's one that I just put on our picture board today.
Oh, gosh.
This is why we can't video this stuff, because it's ridiculous. But you want to know the weird things we do? Here's the weird things we do. We have licking wars. One of us, I don't even know, we just started this because we're just being brats. And one of us will lick the other's cheek or something, and then it's full-on fight of like who can lick the other person. And I always lose because I'm small, and he can pin me down. He can hold two of my hands with one of his, and then he's still got another hand to fight me. So we'll be all over the bedroom trying to like lick each other. And like, ah! It's stupid, but it's quite fun.
It all started out, I think, with, well, okay, maybe it didn't quite start out, but it was supposed to turn into just what I call love dabbles.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Or instead of giving someone a kiss, you just go,
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a little dabble with the tongue.
Yes.
But then once in a while, a dabble got accused of being a lick, and so if that's what you think is a lick, well, try this, lick, and then licking wars started.
Yes. We have licking wars.
I'm still hiding behind my clipboard.
So we're thinking maybe every question and answer video we'll share one of the weird things that we do. Since we're not going to take videos of all this crazy stuff, we'll at least tell you some of the funny things we do.
And by the example of today, I think maybe we should discuss this before we go ahead and start telling stories. Oh boy, you got to choose one.
Licking wars wasn't on the top of your list?
Finished.
All right. Well, now that we've amused people or disturbed people, I don't know which one.
There's been no licking wars in the past couple of days, I'll guarantee that, because I would lose. It would just hurt too much.
Yeah, I should do that, because you would lose. That would be my first chance ever to win.
I just thought of another story, but we're not going to go there.
You'll have to save it. I have a list for us. Look, and it was at the top. Oh, no, it wasn't the top.
Oh, of course.
Licking Wars was the third one. The third one.
Okay.
Yeah. So, there's our list, so you can add it to the list later.
Okay. Licking Wars is probably fairly consistent to Lipstick Wars or Lipsel Wars that I always lose.
We could save that one for the list too and add that one. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a later one.
When you get gooped. Okay, we should probably start some questions now. Just to warn you, this might be one where you really get the popcorn or the snacks out or get your tea, because there's several quite long questions. So Rob's going to have some extra effort in reading today, and I might end up getting hired for the job depending on how he goes.
For whatever reason, once in a while you get a bunch of short questions in a row, and sometimes you get a mix, and sometimes it's just big question after big question.
Yep.
And of course I haven't pre-read them, so I'll just do my best in reading them.
Yes.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Just when I got a sore tongue, it's long question day. I just thought of this right now. Okay.
If you need to pass it over, I'm sure I could practice my reading skills. Maybe.
Passover was a little while ago.
Oh, dear. You froze us. See, your bad jokes froze the computer.
Anyway, my TF and I still have a lot to work on, and triggers keep coming up. But there is just no way for us to separate. Other than the fact we simply don't want that, because we would miss out on each other like crazy. We live together, and it's difficult to get space for more than just a couple of hours. In brackets, the magnet is pretty strong, and we both know about the TF connection. He is a seaman, so he is away for 3 to 4 months, and during which a lot of growth has happened. So it became easier for us to get along. The problem that still arises is that I am HSP, that's a highly sensitive person. And during stressful times, he just gets frustrated and angry when I get low. He tries really hard to minimize anything that can get me there, but we're human, at least for now. And that's just impossible sometimes. Any ideas how we can deal with this dynamic? I know that it's idealistic to never have any triggers whatsoever, but it hurts a lot for both of us when we get stuck in that fighting loop, even just for a few minutes. Yeah. I don't know if this is common for HSP, but when I am triggered, I tend to close off and get in a very, ignorant and cold state in order to protect myself, and that only makes the conflict harder to de-escalate. How can I better cope with this? Also says, sorry for the long comment, and thank you.
So I will start first because I too am HSP, as are, I think, a lot of twin flames. And,
yes.
And not to whatever the word is, but it's often the feminine energy, not necessarily the feminine person, but the feminine energy that is highly sensitive, if one or the other of you is going to be highly sensitive. So you're asking, how can you better manage your energies? And that's a great question, and I like how you even said How can I better cope with this? Because that's the perfect thing, because it is your responsibility as a highly sensitive to learn how to manage your energy. It's not your twin's responsibility, though they should contribute as well. Like Rob is really good at understanding. He's actually even read this book, and that's why I pulled out this book, is to show you. If you have not read this book, highly recommend it. Which way do I go? There, that'll work.
There.
Fabulous book. I'll even bring it closer so you can see the author's name. This is not so easy. There we go. Excellent, excellent book. Highly recommend. Anybody who thinks they're highly sensitive, or anybody that gets overwhelmed easily, gets sensory overload easily. Very good book, because it'll teach you a lot of tools in how to manage yourself. It'll even teach you the language. Like Rob knows now when I say, I'm overstimulated, or I'm oversensitive, or I've got too much going on, I'm feeling overloaded. He knows that means it's time to just stop, pull back.
It's time to me to go to cocoon with the computer, or go downstairs and work in the garage for a while, because Angie just needs time.
Yeah.
And sometimes time isn't just a couple of minutes. Sometimes time is a whole evening. Sometimes it, especially if there's been a lot of overstimulation, for example, we go out to a crowded building for a few hours, sometimes takes her a couple of days to get fully recharged enough to be able to manage highly stimulating situations again.
Yeah.
So it's all something that can be, in some cases, predicted, but in many cases, it's just a case of just managing energy. And as the person who is much less HSP than what Angie is, I feel it's just my responsibility to give her a chance to recover. Just don't keep on zapping her with more information than she can handle.
Right. And that's where it's, again, your responsibility to learn to communicate with your twin in terms of, this is what I'm feeling, and when I'm feeling this way, this is what I need. So, for example, there was a couple months ago, I came in the door from a very intense, busy day at work. And I mean, I was in tears by the time I got home. I could barely even speak, but I just said to Rob, I've had a very overwhelming day, and I just need to go sit in my meditation room and cry. And he's just like, okay. And then off I went, because he knew what I needed, and he has seen enough of me being highly sensitive to know that when I say I need that, I truly need that. So he just honors and respects that and lets me do whatever I need to do. So that's where, you can communicate with your twin. First of all, learn what you do need. Learn when you're oversensitized and how you need to then manage your energy to take care of yourself. And then once you know that, communicate it clearly with your twins so that they know what you need when you need it, so that when you're in those situations when we're so overstimulated, sometimes we can't be in our left brain and our adult words, and we just are so overwhelmed that we can't even speak. We just attack. And God knows I know that. It's taken me years to get out of that mode of attacking, and sometimes I still do. So it's practice. It's practice, 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 and just learning what triggers you, learning how to manage your energy, learning when your energy is oversensitized, and being able to communicate it in the right ways to the other person. So again, highly recommend the book. Very, very good tools in there.
Just another important point, and this I'm sure many of you who are pondering the HSP question would relate with. When you're oversensitized, nobody externally can do anything much to fix you.
Nope.
Sometimes when Angie's been overstimulated, I've tried to, let's say, give her a hug or smother her with kindness or kisses. Sensitivity is sensitivity. It doesn't matter whether it's positive, negative. When she's overstimulated, any sensory input is just extra, whether it's attempted to be positive or not.
Yeah.
So it's mostly just alone time, or at least not distracting time.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, good luck with that. And I would recommend, even if your twin read the book as well, or even if they don't want to read the whole book, even if you pull out bits and pieces for them and go, okay, this part right here, this I need you to read, so that they can understand. Because unless you're highly sensitive, you're never going to fully understand it, but at least you can help them understand it in a way that they can better understand you, so they can help you when you're in that state. Because like Rob's not highly sensitive. He's never going to get what I'm going through, but at least he understands, like he just said. He knows. He used to want to smother me even more, and that would make it 10 times worse. It's like, I can't handle any more. I know you're just trying to give me love, but stimulation is stimulation is stimulation. Like, just go away. And now he gets that.
And not to counteract what Angie just says, because in the past, I'd say couple of years, I have become sensitive enough that I have overloaded a couple of times.
Yeah, that's true.
And one of them was, what was it, about 3
Just
weeks?
recent, yeah.
About 3 weeks ago.
I can't even remember what it was. But
I actually caught myself being like an HSP. And it was amazing to me. I'm going, oh, so that's what it feels like to be on that side. Then I realized, oh, I guess maybe I've become sensitive enough to actually have this happen to me too. So I can only imagine it'll only get more and more sensitive as time goes on. So yeah, at least I've seen it from the outside enough that I recognized it from the inside. It was a very interesting few minutes.
Yep. All right, next question.
Okay. I approached my twin flame the other day after not seeing him for a very long time. We are not on talking terms, as he was my instructor at college I attended, and he is married. I told him I went through a major energetic shift the day he came and stood behind me in the stairs at the college. It was extremely healing for me that day. We never spoke about this experience till yesterday, and I asked him how he did know I needed his help that day on the stairs, and he replied by saying he doesn't know why. And I told him about the flashes I've had, and he didn't say much other than that he doesn't believe in God, and he only believes in things that can be proven mathematically.
That good old left brain masculine energy.
Yeah. My question is, should I believe he truly doesn't know why he came to help me that day on the stairs, as I've seen his hands tremble from the energy, or do you think he's not being honest with me and is hiding his experience from me? We did go through a Kundalini awakening in the beginning when we met, but never talked about it. I don't know what to think. Any advice or information is greatly appreciated. I'll start first with what I think will be a small comment, and then Angie can pick up with what she's got, because I can tell she's bustling with an answer.
Well, no, I'm excited for you to start, because you would relate to him more, at least further in the past of our experience.
Let's just quickly define a potential way the left brain works. The left brain is very black, white, yes, no, and for that reason, confusion is not an answer. So if a person has had some experiences that they cannot define or come to a conclusion on, chances are they're just going to call it extraneous information not meant for a conclusive answer. So as much as he maybe had felt some energies, because they don't mean anything definable to him, they're just extra information, not an answer.
Yeah, and to add to that, oftentimes the masculine energy, again, not to be confused with necessarily the masculine or the male person, the masculine energy is very black, white, left-brained. Only very concrete information is what they sort of understand or believe. So when they're given intuitive guidance, they may go ahead with that guidance, but they might not be at all aware that they've gotten this guidance. So he might very well have felt guided on some level to talk to you that day, but isn't consciously aware of it because he lives basically up here, right? He doesn't live in the heart section. So even though he felt it, he wasn't aware that he felt it. So he might have got this nudge. Like often, you know how when you're driving, you get a nudge, turn this way, and you're like, okay, fine. Some of us are aware that we're being told to turn a certain way. Some of us aren't. We just turn that way and carry on with our lives without knowing why we turned that way or even that we were guided to. So he's probably very guided at times and feels those nudges without being consciously aware of what he's feeling, what he's hearing, what he's being guided to. So I don't think he's lying and saying that he didn't know why he was guided to come to you that day. He probably didn't.
It's possible that he may just need a conclusion that would cause him to have some place to put all those feelings. In other words, yes, this is what's called a potential of, well, I don't know if divine guidance would work for this person because they also don't really want to go down that road based upon how they normally are. But if they're given a conclusion and then they have a bunch of data that can only possibly fit in that conclusion, and it becomes a cubbyhole for that information, maybe that information can eventually be stored up in one spot and remembered within that person's brain to the point that they almost don't have a choice but to come to a conclusion. That would require a little bit of data and a lot of time and possibly even a complete shift in their, I'm going to use the word character, a complete shift in their character where they literally change a belief system, or at least allow a different belief system to exist parallel to the one that they have. That can take a long, long time. Years, decade. Or it could happen real quick if they're just overwhelmed by too much information that you don't even know that they have.
Yeah.
Also, to a person who is accepting of spiritual guidance, when they turn at a corner, they don't understand it, but they at least have a reason why. To a person who's not spiritually guided, they tend to call that a hunch. And they usually think that it is something that they've forgotten about, but they knew that the next time that this situation arose, they were supposed to do this. And they just don't know why for sure that they're doing it, but it must be something from their past that they just can't quite remember. But they're just going to follow that hunch and turn. So for the person who is in their head, that decision comes from within. For a person who's spiritually guided, that decision to turn comes from outside.
Interesting. I was just also going to give an example from our long past back in, it was probably 1998, because we had already broken up, I think. Maybe we hadn't. I can't remember. But I was very suicidal at that point. And Rob called me at his busiest time of work. And I was literally on my way out the door to take my life. And he called me and I decided to answer the phone. I hadn't planned on it, but I answered the phone. And it's like he knew to phone me. He had no idea what was going on within me. He had no idea why he needed to phone me. It's not like he felt this nudge from spirit or his own inner guidance or anything saying, phone her now.
Or felt this guidance from you.
Right. Good point. But yet, it was his busiest time at work because it was order input when you're in management. And he had to phone me. He just stopped his day and phoned me. And it was perfect divine timing. So if I had then, understood and had asked him, hey, did you know, you phoned me at the most perfect time? He'd been like, no, I had no idea. So they don't often have any logical explanation for why they're doing what they're doing. They just somehow feel it without being aware that they felt it. But that's where you can trust. If they can feel that sort of guidance enough to reach out when you most need it, know that they're still connected to their higher self and they're connected to spirit. So when it's time for union or when it's time for them to reconnect with you for whatever reason, they will. You did many times. Yep.
Great story.
Thank you. I just think I'm still amazed by that you contacted me right at the most perfect time. Hey, now we get to switch over to computer stuff.
Now I get to put down the clipboard.
Now we get another computer.
Now
Thank God we have more than one.
Now I have nothing to hide behind if Angie decides to embarrass me / us again.
What, by telling more
telling more stories.
So funny. You can pick up the computer and hide behind it.
By the way, I've decided through much deliberation over the past 90 seconds or a couple of minutes that I'm going to break away onto a little tangent.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, when tangents happen, it's going to be interesting.
Well, I'm just struggling with my thoughts when I was talking about following a hunch and how the hunch for the left brain person comes from within, and yet the guidance for the person who's spiritually connected or more right brain comes from outside. So the right brain person listens to the outside but needs to go within to do their healing, and the left brain person listens to within but needs to listen more to the outside to do their learning. One starts inside and works out, the other one starts outside and works in.
Interesting.
So when we give the advice that if you want to get with your twin to go within, that goes back a little while ago, that would work for about half of them. If you don't want to be without, look out. I don't know. Okay, enough winging it.
Oh, dear.
Next question.
I'm busy trying to read this question, thinking if there's a way I can shorten it a bit, because there's a lot of sort of history in it, but maybe I'll just let you read it and we'll...
Sometimes we do take a question that's got 47 sentences and shorten it down to 12 or 20. Like, we tighten it up just a little bit, and other times we just read them straight out. This is one where Angie's gone through and done a little bit of highlighting. And I'm going to say, just like that multiple choice question where your first hunch is the one you should go with, if Angie's done one little bit of shortening, that's probably the right amount. We'll just go with exactly what she's highlighted. Okay, the question says, there's a woman who I'm certain is my twin flame. We met in college and had the most amazing friendship with romance sprinkled in. I don't know what that means, but it sounds interesting. She loved me dearly, but was 4 years younger than me and was a little immature at the time. And so we just didn't work out back then. She got pregnant and ended up getting married and had an abusive relationship for years. We never lost touch. Anytime she was in a really bad place, she would call me, and I was always her secure base. I've always loved her dearly. I always thought of her as a soulmate. I was able to help her through a lot of very hard times.
Nice.
We connected romantically again about 4 years ago. She was very hot and cold and was trying to find herself after having lost herself for years. This hot and cold relationship challenged me in a lot of ways, especially spiritually. I would pray a lot. I figured out about the twin flame journey when I started seeing repetitive numbers during this time. Sometimes the same numbers, like 50 times a day.
Wow, that's a lot.
We would get close, things would go great, then she would back away, and I would let her. We were last romantic in the fall of 2020 into the spring of 2021. By spring 2021, the energy was almost like suddenly off. I wanted more closeness, and she would push me away. Ah, there's a familiar line.
Yeah. Gee, we've never lived that experience, have we? I'm trying to scroll down, but I'm having technical difficulties.
I could feel the energetically.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, where? Oh, it moved. Okay, let me start that sentence again. I could feel energetically her withdrawing, and it caused almost panic, and like a knowing she was with someone else. Then I saw the news on Facebook. She is engaged. I was stunned.
Ouch.
How do I navigate through this? She still hasn't told me she is engaged. I am angry, sad, frustrated, all those things. My desire for her is so very strong. I have a dream and a vision of a future with her, and that will not go away. Her last text to me several weeks ago was, I need to talk to you sometime. Do I stay in no contact 100%? My inner guidance right now says that I have no business reaching out because she has made a decision to move in a different direction. I have never missed a birthday, and her birthday is coming in the spring. Do I reach out even on her birthday? Losing all contact, especially a birthday message, feels like death. Or do I ride off into the sunset, stop all contact going forward, and respect her decision, and trust God to bring her back in time if that's his plan? Well, that's a lot of question.
Yep.
I think you could accomplish just about everything with a very short communication. Something like, happy birthday. I was on the internet and have figured out that you are engaged again. Reach out to me again sometime in the future if you feel you must, but for now we'll leave you alone. Enjoy.
Wow, that's interesting. That's the last thing I thought you would say. Wow, because you're always the one that's like, keep contact, keep the door open.
But at the same time, you've wished her a happy birthday. And if this has been a habit in the past, I don't think that my example I used is complete closure.
No.
It's just saying that she can reach out to him, not necessarily saying that he is not going to stop reaching out to her. Maybe it could be worded a little bit more along that line, but no, just a short message that would then cause her to understand why you've been silent. You've got information that she doesn't know for sure that you have. Okay, Angie, your turn.
I'm still stunned by your response. Um, first of all, I so have deep compassion for you. I can't imagine how hard this is. Also, I understand it's the ego that wants to just have no contact and just cut her out. Because why wouldn't it? It's protecting itself, right? It's trying to keep you safe from getting hurt, because God knows it sounds like you've had enough hurt from this whole experience. And you can try just closing the door and go on with your life, but often the soul is going to win over the ego. Welcome to the twin flame journey. You can try all you want to slam your heart shut. You can try all you want to never say anything to her again unless she reaches out to you. But that's not always going to work out. Sometimes you'll get those strong nudges like, okay, I gotta reach out. Very much like the last question. You'll get these nudges and you don't even know why. And all of a sudden you're texting her and you're like, damn, I told myself I wasn't going to communicate anymore. And then there you are in a weak moment, or I shouldn't even say a weak moment. It might feel like a weak moment to your ego, but it's actually a strong moment from your soul. So I think there's no black and white on this. I think you just have to go with the flow and take one day at a time and allow yourself to feel what you feel, go with the guidance that you get. If you get a strong nudge that you need to reach out, maybe you need to reach out. So I wouldn't just slam the door shut. I would just honor each moment as it comes and take each day as it comes.
Also, By responding first, even though you haven't been asked to respond, by putting out a response to the knowledge that you have, it is going to throw the ball in her court for the most part when it comes to communicating between you two. Right now, she doesn't know if you've got information or don't. But by acknowledging that you have the information and by letting her go, that that could feel like a cord cutting to her, and all of a sudden that might feel like too much distance to her. It could throw her into a bit of a mental or even a spiritual or both, a bit of a quandary. Because it's one thing when you've got all the power of the communication and all the knowledge to yourself. Once that knowledge is shared, you're a bit more exposed. I don't want to use the word naked, but that's the word that comes to my mind. You're a bit more naked. So by responding back to her, she's now going to be forced to really look at her own feelings, knowing that you are not going to be protecting her feelings anymore through not knowing what's going on. So I think you could probably expect a possibility that she may come back with a, well, let's still stay in front, stay friends, and just be friends, and remember we've only ever been friends, and just continue on as friends. You could probably expect to get a response, something along that line, because I I can't read this question and know why she's engaged to another person. It's very possible that it is a true love relationship. Could be a soulmate. The
Could be a karmic partner.
Could be a karmic partner.
And if I can just interject, I was going to say, if you haven't watched it yet, I would highly suggest you watch our video about soulmates, karmic partners, twin flames, and narcissists, because that might help you at least understand that she needs to be in this other relationship for however long. Who knows if she'll even get married. But if there's another connection there, it's a connection for her growth and obviously for your growth too.
And also, she might be just getting showered with so much affection and attention that she can't step away from it because it's something that she needs. And that can also change over time. Those needs to either give or needs to receive can change over time. It might be a relationship that is more materialistic. Maybe it's based more upon a status or a financial basis. Can't know from reading the question. You might not know yourself. In fact, it sounds like you don't know yourself either. So there's many different ways that your response can hit someone depending upon what their new foundation of existence is leaning on to keep itself all hung together. So to look after your conscience, for sure, respond. You've learned something. It wasn't learned by any devious means. It was learned by a public means. Don't be afraid to admit that you know.
Yep. That one, I don't know why, that one really tugs at my heartstrings, because I guess because I've sort of been there when you were smitten.
Yes.
With your last person.
I wasn't going to go to the smitten story.
It was devastating. It was devastating. He takes me out to dinner and tells me he's smitten with another woman. And I'm like, well, thanks. Why don't you just stab me in the heart and turn it while you're at it? But that relationship had a reason. And just yesterday, I can't remember what we were doing or where we were, but I had a grateful moment for her yesterday. We were grocery shopping.
Okay, I got to hear this one. We're going to go off on a tangent.
7 o'clock in the morning. We're out grocery shopping on a Saturday morning. And I can't even remember what the reason was, but I was just like, God, I'm so grateful for her. Like, he's the person he is now, and he's the person I get to have in my life now because he's grown so much. And that was because of her.
I think it was because we were out at 7 o'clock in the morning shopping to begin with.
And not climbing a mountain.
When I never used to get to go shopping first thing in the morning to open up the rest of the day, I always had to set aside evening time. And I actually do like going shopping first thing in the morning because it frees up the rest of the day. It just cleans one big item off the day's list. So I was being quite grateful that I was up at 7 o'clock in the morning because I'd experienced no opportunity to ever do that before.
I realized what it was. It was because the friend that I was texting while we were grocery shopping
Yeah.
was amazed that we go grocery shopping together. And that's what I was feeling grateful for, is because she has to do all the grocery shopping herself, by the sounds of it. And you, in your last relationship, grocery shopped together. So
Yes.
I'm assuming that was at her request. I don't know. But I was just grateful that your previous relationship helped you and I carry on something that was beneficial for us. Because I wouldn't want to go grocery shopping by myself. Because
Yeah, good luck shopping for me.
Right, exactly.
And good luck for me shopping for her, especially.
Right. Gluten-free and dairy-free and everything else.
I'd just bring home a bunch of ice cream and have a party for me.
Yeah.
And she'd have no food.
Okay, tangent over.
I wouldn't be that mean, but I'd be really quite lost.
Anyway, the point is, our other relationships do have so much benefit when your twin gets to then come back to you and you to them. There's so much growth that happens in other relationships. And I know people always hate to think of their twin being with someone else, but that's the ego. If we can step the ego aside and see it from the soul perspective, it's such a blessing. So anyway, next question.
Next question.
Now that I've tangented to dust.
That's one of the words in the next question.
Oh, look at that, it is so.
Oh, I like questions that start with Dear Angie.
Don't worry, I think the next one that's for you I skipped because we have to discuss it first.
Oh, we get to at least discuss one before I have to deal with it directly. Yay!
Yeah, it requires discussion and we didn't have time for that today.
Dear Angie, tangent question.
LOL, she says. I love it!
For so long, I always see number synchronicities and visions, etc. But now I have been seeing the infinity symbol randomly, like crazy. I want to ask, how was it?
How it was for you.
How it was for you and what manifested. Thank you. Oh.
For me, it was songs. We've shared this one lots in past videos. The Amanda Marshall, Trust Me, This Is Love.
Yeah.
God, that used to just pound us both. And now, you know what's funny? You never, ever, ever hear it on the radio anymore. They play others of her songs, even still years and years later, but never do they play that one. But man, at the time, we were pounded with that song. So, Trust Me, This Is Love. That was the universe explaining this is real. And what manifested? Well, it took a hell of a long time, but union manifested. That was in like 1998. We used to get that song after we broke up. So, yeah. So, when you get signs, I know some people think, oh my God, it means union. Well, it sure, but don't get attached to when, because the when can be in Spirit's time, not our time. You know, when Spirit says soon, we think soon, as in human time, like weeks, months, not years and years and years, like Spirit might believe, because Spirit doesn't have time. They don't live in a world of time like we do.
And that's very appropriate for you to say, because the infinity symbol almost denotes that there is no end to time, and that we choose to just arbitrarily mark the existence that we're in with a numeric timestamp. So infinity, an infinity symbol, if I wanted to look at it very left brain, would also mean a symbol to be wide open to everything.
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
the infinite possibilities.
Infinite possibilities. Thank you. I needed that. Yes.
And infinite time, right? Like Rob was saying, in infinity there's no end, but there's also no beginning. So it just is, right? Everything is now. So it's learning to embrace maybe the message you're getting from the infinity symbol is be in the moment, because every moment is the now moment, and every moment brings you to the moment of infinity. So yeah, that's an awesome sign to keep getting, though.
The very fact that you are getting a repetitive message, call it a synchronicity, that's just an affirmation all in itself that at least your antenna is wide open and working.
I like that. Your
Yes.
antenna.
Your antenna.
That's
You're still receiving messages, even if the clarity isn't there. As long as you're receiving the signal, the clarity will eventually come. There'll be an aha moment. Pretty much count on that.
Yeah. And I know sometimes the signs and the synchronicities are like over the top, and you're like, "What, spirit? What do you want?" Unless you're not like me and you're not impatient, but I'm like, "What?"
Sometimes you just have to wait for it.
That's right. Yeah. Sometimes the patience and just allow yourself to be in the moment and just go, thank you, spirit. Like when you see the numbers over and over and over again, I used to go, okay, great. So thanks. I saw like 555 for the 18th time today. What do you want me to know from this? And maybe there isn't something specific to know. Maybe it's just to learn to honor that you're getting guidance. So I've now learned to just say, thank you, spirit. I appreciate the message, and carry on with my day. Because sometimes there isn't a logical meaning or a logical explanation. It could just be spirit saying, we're with you, you're being guided. But sometimes there is a deeper meaning. So learn to just ask, and then if you don't get anything, just allow it to be what it is. But like Rob said, your antennae are open when you're getting that. So that's great.
That's just about as important as the message that you don't understand, is the thought that you are getting a message at all.
Yes. Yes. Another long question.
Okay. That's from there to there.
I started highlighting, and then I just highlighted the whole thing because I'm like, well, sometimes it's really hard to edit questions because every little bit has some importance. So
I just read a little bit of this, and this person writes like I do, and sometimes that's a little complicated. So I might slow down as I'm reading this question, just so that I don't lose the flow. The question is, since you talked about guidance a lot, a couple of questions bubbled up for me and would love to hear your insight on them. There is 2 questions. How about that? Question number 1. I'm relatively new to spirituality, in brackets, after years into my TF journey, and felt this unexplainable push to quit the job where I've worked, in brackets, happily, for 15 plus years. And that's also where I met my DM, Divine Masculine. At first, I wouldn't even consider it, as that was the link I had with my twin across continents. But outside circumstances kept on taking place, for example, a new boss who had a set of twins, etc., where my job became more unbearable. At that exact time, I was approached by another company where I thought was the perfect job for me, and was given an offer right away without much of a real interview process. So again, I took that as divine intervention and took the leap and made the switch. However, after some weeks in my new job, I realized the same pattern started forming, the chaotic, though very nice boss with the work-life imbalance, which was the main reason I quit my last job. So this made me wonder, why did the universe orchestrate for me to hop from one stressful job to another? Is there a lesson for me to learn, or did I misread all the signs? Especially, I'm no longer working in the same company as my twin. That was the first question. I'll read the second question. Which leads to the second question. How do you know when you're being guided by the higher power versus your own ego? I'm hoping I didn't make a mistake by switching. Thank you so much for considering my questions and wishing you both and the loved ones the best year ahead. Wow, it's been a little while since this question was written. Yeah, we got some, still have, it's a good thing we're almost caught up now.
Yeah. Okay, so first question again. Why did the universe orchestrate me to hop from one stressful job to another? Is there a lesson for me to learn, or did I misread all the signs? Do you want to take that first, or do you want me to?
I'm just going to make a comment, and it comes from my manager's voice, which has no right brain whatsoever. Almost as a relation to the old comment of fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. You've gone from one job and bounced to another job that doesn't look any different than the first job. Is it the job, or is it you?
Exactly, and that's where I wanted to take this is I don't think you misread the signs at all. I think the signs were perfect and you got them all. But it's the universe, your own soul, however you want to look at it, trying to maybe wake you up and go look at what you keep attracting. Look at the patterns you keep creating. This is something you need to bring your attention to. When we attract the same jobs over and over, the same people over and over, the same experiences over and over, that's for us to look at and go, why do I keep attracting that? So I think you were very much guided to go into the similar job again for you to examine where you need to maybe make some shifts, some growths, some changes. And Spirit often isn't going to say, hey, you need to make these changes. They're going to guide you to see the experience again and again and again so that you recognize and make the changes. And I think that's what this was all about.
By moving you from one position to another, and the feel is very similar, just kind of like Angie said, this is an opportunity to look at a recurring recurring action or reoccurring
Pattern.
Result, and as much as it's only happened once, it still is a trend. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to recognize where there can be some growth, even just outside of spirituality. Not every lesson that's given to us is meant to be a spiritual lesson. This is a change of jobs, even though the job had a spiritual connection. Maybe that job's function now, because the introduction was made, you met your divine masculine there, that job's purpose is now finished. And now it's time for you to learn something else with the knowledge that what you still learned from the first job when it comes to spirituality and twin flames and whatnot, it has already been learned and won't be forgotten.
Mm.
So this whole gambit of changing jobs might not have any real significant spiritual lesson for now. Just a thought.
Well, I'm having to think on that myself. I think this is just my opinion. I think every experience is a spiritual lesson in a sense because every lesson is a lesson for us and we are spiritual beings. That's just how I take it. But I think I understand where you're coming from.
The for now thing. I don't know how many times I learned something that didn't matter then, but then mattered in the future, became part of a stepping stone. This could be just setting up a stepping stone for future information to use as a crossing point to make more sense. But you wouldn't get the ability to make sense of the future information if you didn't learn something now.
So I just want to go back. It's interesting how they're talking about they went from one job and one boss that was chaotic with a work-life balance or work-life imbalance to another boss with a similar sort of thing. That's where I think the key is maybe examine that and what is that mirroring back to you? Because some people don't believe this, some people don't agree with this, but it is my belief, my understanding, and also my experience that our twin isn't our only mirror. Every single person we come in contact with is a mirror for us. Because when you understand that we all come from the same source energy, we all are a part of that same source energy, therefore we are all one. We're not just one with our twin, we're one with every single being. Therefore, every being is us, mirroring us back to us. So if you've attracted the same kind of boss again, I would kind of look there and go, what is that telling me about my own life? Do I maybe have an imbalance in my work-life experience? Or do I have too much balance in my work-life experience and need to let go a little more? I don't know. Maybe that's something to kind of examine though. Are you ready to go into number 2?
Yeah, let's touch with that number 2 question about whether or not you're being guided by the higher power or your own ego.
When the easiest way I find to know if it's your ego versus a higher power is the synchronicities and the magic that kind of comes with it. Your ego isn't so good at creating synchronicities and magic, but spirit, man, magic is like their department. And if it just turned really loud where you are, it's because the dog is sitting under the chair that the computer's on and decided to shake. So that's what that was. So yeah, all of these things that you've described, how the job came to you, how it just sort of fell into place and you didn't even have to really have an interview and all of those kind of things, that to me feels more like spirit than it does your ego. Your ego can't create neat, smooth manifestations like that. The ego normally forces things. It doesn't make things flow nicer. So those are, in my opinion, some of the ways to know how to know which is which. I was just reading there was another piece to this. I hope I didn't make a mistake by switching. I don't think you made a mistake at all. I think you were very strongly guided to this job to start recognizing some patterns within you that maybe need changing, healing, growing. That's my intuitive feeling.
Always try to make the best of a situation up until the time the situation becomes unworkable. Just in case there's some information just on the horizon. If there was an opportunity to switch back, then I would be really, really lost. Do you jump from one frying pan to another frying pan and then just leap back to the first one because the first one was more familiar? That's another tough question, but chances are you don't learn by stepping backwards.
Right.
Something has to change in that backward step to make it not really a backward step.
Yes. We're at an hour. Do we want to do one more question? Since it's a short one.
Well, the question is short. The answers may not be so short. This one here?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a run at it.
Okay.
I met my twin a year ago and since then have been able to feel so much energy. How do you know if it's your twins or others? If I go to a public place, I feel a lot.
Yeah.
It's mostly the angel bumps. What's an angel bump?
Like goosebumps, or some people call it like a hug from spirit.
Okay.
If you're Jennifer Lopez, you call it the goosies.
Okay. I recently started to feel my lips tingling and pressure on my face. When I feel pressure on my face, it's the handle of a golf club. I saw in one of your videos that you felt Rob kiss you. It was sometimes It sometimes comes with stomach butterflies or a warm sensation all over. I'm still learning on answers from my guides. Well, I have a better idea what angel bumps are.
But not a golf club
They're
smashing you in the face.
not a golf club handle smashing me in the face.
No.
Mm.
So I love that you say you met your twin and since then have been feeling so much energy. That is part of a Kundalini awakening. That is an activation. That's what we do as a twins, right? We activate each other. And then all of a sudden, like, you're seeing things, you're feeling things that you've never seen, felt, experienced before. It's so exciting. So how do you know if it's your twin or others? It's tricky in this, from the examples specifically that you're giving. I don't necessarily know if you even need to know, is this my twins? Is this others? I think it's just, first of all, being aware that you're feeling energy. And then as time goes on, you'll start to feel energy differently. Like you're saying, mostly the angel bumps. You might feel them one way when it's others' energy or a certain way when it's your twins' energy. So just first get used to just feeling all this energy, because that's a huge shift as it is. And then over time, it'll start becoming more aware of what you're feeling and whose it is and what it is. And it might not be your twins or others. It might just be spirit. Like when you're saying it's angel bumps, that's exactly probably what it is spirit, angels, guides, support from the other side. Often, they'll validate us when we say something or feel something. They'll kind of give us a hug, and we feel that as chills in our bodies or bumps all over, kind of a thing. So I think that's beautiful. But then they're saying, I recently started feeling my lips tingling and pressure on my face. That's very interesting.
I've already made my comment.
No comment to your comment.
Can I back up just a little bit?
Yep.
Angie and I have what we call TF moments, twin flame moments. Sometimes things happen synchronistically, like it's hard to put together examples because the examples come and go so quickly. But if you're both expecting to be going to the same place from different areas and you both show up 3 minutes early, that's not really a TF moment. You were both expecting to go someplace and be somewhere at more or less the same time. But sometimes when Angie's been out running around doing a bunch of stuff and comes home at a random time, and I've been out running around doing a bunch of stuff, and I show up at home at a random time, and I pull up into the edge of our little cul-de-sac that we live in, and she's already just opening the garage door because she's just driven up, just gotten home 30 seconds before me. That time when we have a true TF moment very much is a tingle moment. It really causes a rush of what I'll just call emotion within me. Where the other moment that was far less random is just like, oh yeah, that was a coincidence. When things are not a coincidence, it's not just, that's not coincidental. It's very energizing. There's a big flow of energy that happens with that. It's like there's a little bit of guidance, and some spiritual entity is saying, here's a little bit of extra happiness just for realizing that was just not random. That was special. We put that together for you. Thank you very much.
Or it was our own soul that put it together for us too.
Sure.
Yeah. So you're saying you're tying that in with
the angel bumps.
Gotcha. Got it.
So from that point of view, now that I figured out what angel bumps are, or equivalent feelings, yeah, those are real.
Yeah, so when you get these feelings, these experiences, trust them. You don't necessarily need to always analyze them with your left brain and go, what does this mean, or whose is this? Just be in the moment, feel it, because that's where you'll get your answers too. If you're wondering, is this my twin, is this me? Going into your mind is not going to give you the answers. Being in the feeling of it, that's when you'll get your answers. You'll know much better that way, if whose it is and what you need to do with it. or if there's nothing to do with it, you just need to experience it. But that's awesome. I love it when people start awakening to all the energy. And
sometimes they just feel the energy. Other times it comes through as a physical sensation. And we've heard it both ways numerous times.
Yep.
You experienced it as a physical sensation? Not sure that I have.
Oh, okay. So that wraps up another question answer video for the next month. Maybe we'll do one another time this month. Who knows? Can't promise anything. But I would like to also end with saying Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. This is Sunday, and this hopefully will get uploaded on the day that we're actually doing the video. But if it doesn't, it'll be Monday, and Happy Mother's Day even a day late.
That's true. Yes. Yeah, videos for the summertime. Yeah, and now that we're dealing with May, usually are guided by bad weather. Get trapped inside by a rainstorm?
Do a video.
Do a video.
Otherwise, Rob's climbing mountains and golfing, and I'm only participating in some of those because I don't love them like he loves them.
Some of those are very stimulating activities.
That's right.
Walking for hours and hours and hours on end can just really overload a person.
Or having to golf with people for 5 hours, and you have to like talk to them at every hole and then throughout. 5 hours of people, that's a lot.
It's a lot better when we golf with people we know.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes it bearable, and sometimes you don't even go golfing unless you go with the people we know.
That's right.
Because
I've
it's
become
just
a princess that way.
Yeah,
it's just, I don't like strangers.
It's just so much easier that way.
Yeah. But anyway, all to say, who knows when we'll do another video. We'll at least keep them consistent to a month, but if we can do more than that, we will. But Rob's saying like summer is not the time to do extra videos. So
no, when it's bright and sunny and hot outside.
Rob lives outside.
That's kind of sometimes though when we've done outside videos.
Yep.
Maybe our next video will be outside.
Maybe.
That'd be nice.
Yep.
It's been a while. It's been a long winter.
It has.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for your questions. We will get to more of them soon.
All right. I was going to say later. So sooner or later.
Sooner or later.
Depending upon the perspective.
Yes. Love you guys. Talk to you later.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye. Or catch you sooner.
Sooner. Yeah.